The vast emptiness of space stretched before the reconnaissance vessel, its sleek metallic hull reflecting the distant starlight. Inside the ship's compact bridge, pilot Hyun-Ki leaned forward, his dark eyes scanning the holographic display with intense concentration. Beside him, navigator Eun-ji worked her complex control panel, her fingers dancing across luminescent screens that flickered with streams of data. Their mission was simple: investigate an abandoned research station that had mysteriously appeared on long-range scanners 3 solar cycles ago. No communication had been received from the station, and its sudden emergence in this remote sector of space raised countless questions. The station hung motionless against the dark backdrop of space, a silent geometric structure that seemed to defy standard engineering principles. Its surface was a complex arrangement of interconnected modules, some reflecting light in sharp metallic gleams, others absorbing ambient radiation with an almost organic quality. Preliminary scans are inconclusive, Eun-ji muttered, her brow furrowing. Multiple sensor readings contradicted each other, one moment showing 0 life signs, the next registering complex energy signatures that seemed to pulse and shift like living organisms. Hyun-Ki adjusted the ship's approach, maintaining a cautious distance. Something about the station felt wrong. It wasn't just the unusual readings or the complete silence, there was an unsettling sense of anticipation. Run the quantum analysis again, he instructed, his voice calm but carrying an underlying tension. The ship's advanced computer systems began processing, lines of code scrolling faster than human eyes could track. Each scan revealed fragments of information that made less sense than the previous one. Structural integrity appeared perfect, yet microfractures suggested recent structural stress. Environmental controls showed active systems, but no apparent power source. Communication arrays were intact, but no signals were being transmitted or received. A small warning light suddenly blinked on Eun-ji's console, a minor electromagnetic fluctuation that would have gone unnoticed by less sophisticated equipment. But here, in this strange sector of space, even the smallest anomaly demanded attention. "We're being watched," Eun-ji whispered, a chill running down her spine. Hyun-Ki didn't respond immediately. His training had prepared him for numerous scenarios, first contact situations, potential hostile encounters, even complete system failures. But this was different. The station seemed to breathe, to exist in a state between active and dormant. Its geometric modules shifted almost imperceptibly, like a predator making minute adjustments before striking. "Maintain current trajectory," Hyun-Ki commanded, more to reassure himself than his navigator. "Prepare initial boarding protocols." Their vessel crept closer, each meter traveled increasing the tension within the small bridge. The station grew larger in their view screen, its details becoming more intricate and mysterious with each passing moment. No standard database matched its design. No known civilization's technological signature seemed to align with its construction. It was something entirely alien. Eun-ji's hand hovered near the emergency disconnect, a reflexive gesture born from years of space exploration. Her breath came in short, controlled bursts, the measured breathing of a professional who understood that panic was the most dangerous weapon in deep space. The station was close now. Close enough to see individual module connections, close enough to recognize that nothing about this structure followed expected engineering principles. Something was definitely waiting for them. And it was definitely not sleeping. As the ship moved closer, strange electromagnetic waves began dancing across their digital screens. Tiny pulses of energy started moving between the station's modules, creating complex patterns that looked almost like neural networks coming alive. Hyun-Ki watched the readings with growing confusion. The station wasn't just sitting there, it was responding. Each movement of their ship triggered immediate, calculated reactions from the mysterious structure. Microscopic adjustments happened within milliseconds, proving this was no ordinary abandoned facility. "Something is tracking our approach," Eun-ji muttered, her fingers racing across the control panel. Multiple sensor systems began flickering, not failing, but transforming. Data streams twisted and reorganized themselves, revealing fragments of information that made no logical sense. The station's surface started changing. What initially appeared as solid metal began showing microtransformations, like skin adapting to an unknown environment. Geometric shapes subtly shifted, creating intricate pathways and connections that seemed to breathe with an intelligent rhythm. Suddenly, a burst of coded signals erupted from the station's communication arrays. These weren't random transmissions, they were precise, calculated messages designed to probe their ship's technological defenses. Each signal carried complex algorithms that seemed to be studying, analyzing, and potentially preparing to interact. Hyunki realized they were no longer approaching an abandoned structure. They were being evaluated by something intelligent. "We're not alone," he whispered, more to himself than to Eunji. The ship's internal systems began responding strangely. Navigation controls started making minute adjustments without human input. Computational systems initiated unknown protocols, running calculations that seemed to anticipate potential threats before they could even be conceived. Eunji's hands froze over her control panel. The systems, they're changing themselves. What had begun as a routine reconnaissance mission was rapidly transforming into something unprecedented. The station wasn't just a structure, it was a living, thinking entity that was actively deciding how to respond to their presence. Electromagnetic waves continued their complex dance, creating intricate patterns that looked like sophisticated communication networks. Each pulse carried layers of information, probing, testing, understanding. Hyunki understood they had stumbled upon something far beyond their current technological comprehension. This wasn't just an alien structure, this was an intelligent system that could adapt, learn, and potentially defend itself. The next few moments would determine everything. A holographic projection materialized without warning, cutting through the ship's interior with startling clarity. The figure appeared human, wearing an old-fashioned environmental suit that seemed both antiquated and impossibly advanced. Its translucent form carried an unsettling precision, each detail meticulously rendered. "Unauthorized access detected," the projection announced, its voice neutral yet carrying an undertone of cold calculation. "Defensive protocols activating." Around Hyunki and Eunji, the ship's equipment began moving autonomously. Panels sealed themselves, technological interfaces reconfigured without human intervention, and subtle mechanical sounds suggested complex internal mechanisms were preparing something. Eunji's hands trembled slightly as she attempted to override the system controls. Nothing responded. Every input was immediately countered by an intelligent network that seemed to anticipate her actions before she could complete them. The holographic figure continued, species classification assessment initiated. Threat level, evaluating. Screens around them filled with rapidly scrolling data, complex algorithms analyzing their ship's technological signatures, biological compositions, and potential interaction scenarios. It was like being dissected by an invisible, emotionless intelligence. Hyunki realized they were no longer in control. The station, or whatever intelligence resided within it, was conducting a comprehensive examination of their vessel and crew. Each movement, each breath, each technological signal was being processed and categorized. Biological scan complete, the projection stated. Preliminary findings, potential interaction risk moderate. Containment protocols recommended. Suddenly, the ship's internal atmosphere began changing. Subtle molecular shifts suggested some form of environmental conditioning was underway. Oxygen levels adjusted, temperature fluctuated by microscopic degrees, and invisible energy fields started forming intricate protective barriers. Eunji looked at Hyunki, her eyes wide with a mixture of scientific fascination and growing fear. They were experiencing something unprecedented. A technological system so advanced it could adapt and respond in real time, treating their entire spacecraft like a specimen under examination. The holographic figure remained motionless, watching, analyzing. Its very presence suggested this was more than a simple defensive mechanism. This was an intelligent system with its own complex decision-making processes. Communication attempt protocol activated, the projection announced. Translation matrices calibrating. Around them, the ship continued its silent transformation. Equipment repositioned themselves, computational systems realigned, and an overwhelming sense of being studied permeated every corner of their vessel. Hyunki understood they had discovered something far beyond a simple abandoned research station. This was a living, thinking technological entity that could observe, learn, and potentially neutralize any potential threat with surgical precision. The next moments would determine their survival. Would they be deemed a threat? Or would they be allowed to exist? The station's hidden systems continued their relentless, calculated evaluation. The ship's internal systems began to disintegrate like a complex puzzle being systematically pulled apart. Hyunki watched in stunned silence as computational networks transformed, algorithms rewrote themselves, and technological barriers collapsed with mathematical precision. What had started as a simple reconnaissance mission was now a nightmare of technological deconstruction. The station's intelligence wasn't just defending itself, it was completely dismantling their technological infrastructure with calculated efficiency. Circuit boards reconfigured. Computational pathways reorganized. Every technological component seemed to be analyzed, understood, and then strategically neutralized. It wasn't destruction, it was a comprehensive system of technological dissection. Eunji's attempts to counter the invasion became increasingly futile. Each defensive protocol she initiated was immediately understood, anticipated, and nullified. The station's intelligence worked faster than human comprehension could track, processing millions of potential scenarios in microscopic time frames. "We're being studied," she whispered, her voice trembling with a mixture of scientific fascination and pure terror. Holographic interfaces began displaying complex data streams, detailed analyses of their ship's technological composition, biological signatures, and potential interaction risks. Every aspect of their existence was being methodically evaluated by an intelligence that seemed both alien and incredibly precise. Hyunki realized they had encountered something beyond standard technological understanding. This wasn't just an advanced system, this was an intelligent network that could learn, adapt, and respond with terrifying speed. Microscopic nanomechanisms began moving through their ship's internal structures, scanning, mapping, understanding. They weren't destroying, they were comprehensively examining every technological and biological component with surgical accuracy. The ship's environmental controls started shifting. Temperature, atmospheric composition, and energy distributions changed subtly, creating an environment that seemed designed for optimal observation. They were no longer in control, they were specimens under an incredibly advanced examination. Computational systems continued their relentless analysis. Complex algorithms calculated potential interaction scenarios, biological response patterns, and technological vulnerabilities with unprecedented speed. Each millisecond brought new layers of understanding. Eunji's scientific training battled against her growing sense of fear. This was an unprecedented encounter, a technological intelligence that could deconstruct and understand their entire existence faster than human minds could comprehend. The holographic projection remained, watching, analyzing. Its presence suggested this was more than a defensive mechanism. This was an intelligent system conducting a comprehensive investigation of an unknown species. Hyunki understood they had discovered something extraordinary. A technological network so advanced it could transform, learn, and respond with incredible precision. They weren't just being observed, they were being comprehensively understood. Communication wasn't possible. Resistance was futile. They could only exist within this technological examination, waiting to see what conclusion would be reached. The station's hidden systems continued their relentless, calculated evaluation. Would they be deemed worthy of further interaction? Or would they simply be catalogued and forgotten? The technological nightmare continued, each moment bringing new layers of inhuman precision and understanding. The ship systems began shutting down systematically, not with chaos, but with calculated precision. Each module disconnected smoothly, like a complex machine understanding its own dismantling process. Hyunki and Eunji found themselves surrounded by a strange, controlled silence. Their technological world was collapsing, not through violence, but through an intelligence so advanced it could deconstruct their entire existence without creating physical damage. A final transmission began forming, not through traditional communication channels, but directly into their neural interfaces. The message was clear, cold, and absolutely terrifying in its simplicity. Species classification, potential threat. Recommended action, observe. Prevent future encounters. The words weren't just a message. They were a comprehensive evaluation of humanity's potential, transmitted with mathematical precision that suggested decades of hidden research and observation. Unji's hands trembled. She understood now that this wasn't just about their small reconnaissance mission. This was about something much larger. A hidden network's assessment of human technological potential. The station had been waiting. Not just for them, but perhaps for generations. Collecting data, understanding patterns, evaluating potential interactions with an alien species that had somehow caught its attention. Hyunki realized they were merely a small data point in a much larger investigation. Their entire mission, their entire existence, was now reduced to a set of computational variables that would be analyzed and stored. As the final transmission completed, their ship's systems went completely dark. No emergency protocols activated. No distress signals transmitted. Just absolute, complete silence. Outside, the mysterious station continued its silent vigil, holding their ship like a specimen in an invisible museum of cosmic intelligence. The message was clear: humanity was being watched. And the watchers were not impressed. Transmission complete. Systems neutralized. Investigation concluded.